Hello, welcome to part 5 of creating FPS. Um, what we're going to do this week is have a look at the player health. We've got the enemy health sorted out and we've got everything and all of that implemented. So what we need to do with the player health is, first things first, is create scripts, call player health and add this onto our player. So what we're going to do, make sure all our scripts and they're all ready. Right click, create, and C# scripts. We're going to call this player health. Lovely. Make sure that generates and compiles. There we go, lovely. And then we're going to add this script, as I said, to our player. Let's just make sure it's gone onto there. Lovely. And then we're going to double click on our player health script. Cool. So that should open up into, try that again. There we go. Opened up into Visual Studio. So what's really important here is, do we need to recreate everything that we've done for our enemy? Because everything for our enemy was working fine, we were damaging him and we could kill him as we shot him. So was there anything wrong with that? And the answer is no. So, I think I have said before, don't copy and paste, but in this circumstance, do copy and paste. We need all this. This is exactly what we're going to be doing. And these scripts, the enemy health and player health aren't going to be talking to each other because we can create other scripts that will talk to each other. Obviously the damage, and that's coming through our weapon and that's coming through the enemy AI when it comes to the player health. So these two scripts won't talk to each other. It's absolutely fine. So what we can do is just highlight all this. There we go. And I'm just going to copy, go over to our player health scripts, highlight this part and paste. There we go. So we've got all of this implemented in already. This is fantastic. So this really works for us and we can quickly Command S that or Control S and save that script. One thing we don't want to do is we don't want to destroy as soon as we get hit. So we just want to change this around. Okay. So let's just quickly highlight this and we can put a debug here, can't we? So you can say debug.log and we can say player, let's say player is dead because this is hit points below or equal to 0. So this will just send us a little message, console message, that our player is dead. And we've got 100 hit points to start off with. Okay, so what we then need to do is, let's have a look in our prefabs. Oh, let's let that save over. We've got a player in our prefabs already, but let's see what he's got on him. Okay, so we need to update our player in the prefab. So what we can do is click on our player here. Now he's got these hit points of 100 and we can see that health script being implemented in. What we can do is go to our overrides, click on our overrides, and as you can see the player health script, and we can click to apply all. And if we click that on our within our prefabs, we can see that that has easily updated. So the thing that we need to add here is probably to look at damage, creating a damage from the enemy to the player. So let's have a look. So let's make sure that everything is in our prefabs. If you haven't put your enemy and your player into a prefab, do that now. It's really important because every time we can add them in and we can quickly update them, and especially as we're getting closer and closer to creating your own main scene instead of this prototype scene, we're going to want to drag in these prefabs and they're going to want them to work immediately. So now we've copied everything else from the enemy health to the player health. We can see that's working. Let's have a look at our enemy AI scripts. There we are. Cool. So lovely. So we're going to want to create some damage. So let's create some damage. Let's say private float damage. We can say, let's say 20. So it's a lot less on a float. And again, we will then serialize this field so we can see it. Oh, why hasn't that popped up? So this there it is. Will pop up within our inspector. So within the attack method, I think we have an attack method somewhere. We have a gauge target, we have update, or attack. There we go, attack target, and at the moment all we've got is our debug.log.hit player. So in here, what we can write is, we don't really need this player hit anymore. We can just get rid of that because we'll be able to see once we've, let's see if we can, there we go, that's a lot better. We can say, have we created a target? How have we created, oh yeah, we have already got our target for our player already within our, because that's who he's following. That's fine. So we can follow that already. So let's say target, let's say if target, because it's if we're attacking, aren't we? We're not constantly attacking. So if target is equal to null, what we're going to do is return that. So that makes sure that we fetch the player and that we've caught the player. If we have caught the player, nothing will happen. If it's not, we'll get a message pop through saying that the target is null. So if we then say target dot get component, we're then going to grab our player health. That should pop up. There we go. And then what do we want to grab from our player health? We want to grab take damage. There we go. And we want the damage variable. Let's just make sure we got all that correct. There we go. Yes, and we want this damage variable. There we go. Float damage. Fantastic. In there. So enemy health. Blah blah blah. We've still got hit points, take damage, destroy game object. Oh yeah, sorry, looking at the wrong script. This is the dangers of looking at the wrong script. So lovely. So save this with target get components. We can add that debug later, or we can just test it to see if it works. Cool. So let's give that a try. So let's go into our game scene, let's let this load. Lovely, we have no errors, that's good. Let's press play, make sure we've got no errors either. Awesome, so let's go over, firstly, let's go and click on our player. So there we go, we've got the hit points of 100. So if I click back into my game, and hopefully we should see the hit points going down by 20. There we go, we're already at minus 460. So our capture was the enemy capture was absolutely slamming into us. That's wicked. That's what we want. Wicked. So let's save that. Fantastic. So now we've got this. Let's initiate essentially a game loop. So what do I mean by game loop? So you know when you die and you go and you've got this menu saying play the game again, or restart game, or quit game, and then you can restart the game. So we're looping the game around. So we're going to be looking at scene management and implementing that as soon as we have died. So as soon as we hit 0 hit points. Okay, so that's good. Let's clear this console. Lovely, cool. So what we're going to do is we've already got a UI here, and we've already got something called canvas. What I'm going to do is call this my player canvas, because this is just a canvas for my player. I don't want to confuse things. So let's call this player canvas. Lovely. And then what I'm going to do is click on UI, right click, go to UI, and then again I'm going to click for another canvas just to break things up and make it nice and clear to read. So what am I looking for? Canvas. Cool. And let's call this game over canvas. Lovely. So we've got a brand new canvas, and then we're going to right click, go to UI again, go to TextMesh Pro. You might need to download some essentials for TextMesh Pro. TextMesh Pro is we don't have to put the using UI line in the scripting. Plus, we can do a lot of things with background shadows and a lot more creative things with TextMesh Pro. So we should be using that. So what we're going to do is call this our game over text. There we go. Cool. So that should be in the center of our game. Lovely. So what I'm going to do is just we hold Alt here. That should click that into the center. It's already in the center. Lovely. So let's just lift that up slightly. There we go. So we can see it. And then what we're going to do is center and then center. Fantastic. I'm going to grab my rect tool because I want this just a little bit bigger, and the rect tool is the best one. So now, as you can see, as I've dragged this, it's come out of center. We can then just click onto here again, hold our Alt key, click that, and it jumps into the center. I'm just going to lift this up slightly. Fantastic. Let's just change this to game over. And then I'm going to change the color of this to just a red. Bold, and let's make a little bit bigger. And again, we can just, as always, good just to center things, and then lift that up. That's bold and that's centered. Maybe just have it a bit there. What's the size at the moment? We can make that a bit bigger, I reckon. So when do we bounce out? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Cool, and then what we can do is we can add a drop shadow. There we go, awesome. So it jumps out a little bit. Thank you, TextMesh Pro. Ooh, not auto size. And then that's cool, I'm happy with that. Lovely, so we've got this UI here. Let's add a button. So if we click on our game over canvas again, right click, and then this time we're going to do TextMesh Pro, but a button. And then on button, we can change this to, so restart game button. Restart game button, and then we can call this restart text. Oh, lovely. So let's go to, that button's fine. I might make it a little bigger in a second, but I'm just going to quickly just say, making sure I can spell restart. Just grab that button. Again, we're going to grab the rect tool and just make this a little bit bigger. We can then again center that, holding Alt. And I'm actually quite happy with that. We can bring this down. So what we can see here is if we zoom in here, we can see that our crosshair is on top of our UI, and that will happen even within the game. So what we need to do, so if I just lift that a little bit lower, we can see that if I click on my player canvas where my crosshair is and look under canvas, we can see that my sort order is on 0. Okay, cool. So that's like the sorting layers within 2D. So if I then click on my game over canvas, we can see that the sorting order is also on 0. So if we just change that just to 1, we can then jump on top. So the whole of this canvas will jump on top, and as you can see, we can no longer see the crosshair because it's hiding behind, hopefully. I can't for some reason move that. Let's click on the button and move that. And there we go, there's the crosshair, it's just hiding there. Lovely, but we've sorted out the layers. Let's have a look. There we go, sorting layer 1, so it's on top. Lovely, fantastic. Let's just quickly save that as well. So we've got our restart button. I'm going to leave that there like that, just as a generic button, that's fine. What we're then going to do is click on our restart game button, and then we're going to duplicate that with Control and D, or Command and D if you're on a Mac. And what we're going to do is quickly change this to our quit game button. So we're going to have 2 different, and then we're going to do some text is also quit, not quick, quit text, and then we can grab the button and then just drag that down like that, and then in that text we can just say quit game. There we go, fantastic. So we've created a really nice simple UI system. If we press play, we can see there it is. It's just floating around in there. Brilliant, fantastic. So what we need to do is sort out a system where we die at 0 points. This UI is going to appear. So what I'm going to do is save my game. And once we've done that, we need to first organize our scenes. So this, if I click on my scenes, you can see that I've got my prototype level here. I've called it prototype level. That's absolutely fine. And then I'm going to go to File, Build Settings, and ensure that in my build settings I've added, so I can click Open Add Open Scenes, and that would have added, if it wasn't in there, would have added my prototype level scene. So otherwise it won't pick it up. Scene Manager will not see this. And what's really important about the Scene Manager and the build settings is the number here. So we know that this scene, we can load this scene 0. Cool, lovely. So what we're going to do is, if we click on the game over canvas, right click, and just to make things easier, create object, and let's just call this, it's called a game scene. Lovely, fantastic. Once we've done that, go into our scripts, and we can also create a new script called game scene. Make sure that's all compiled. Lovely, and then I'm going to drag this over to my game scene. Lovely, there it is, game scene. Double click onto that, we should be able to get into here. Fantastic. So because we're using the scene management, we need to specify that we are. So we're going to say using the Unity engine dot not game scene dot. Why is that not coming up with scene management? Come on, what's happening? Using Unity engine dot scene. That is interesting. That's not popping up. I'm sure, is it all disconnected to all the rest of my scripts? We'll carry on anyway to see if Scene Manager does pop up here. No, it's not. So what's happened here? There we go. So using Unity, oh, it's all going wrong today. Unity game engine dot scene management. There we go. I think it just had a bit of a funny 5 seconds. Scene manager dot load scene, and we're going to choose 0, as we said, because we've added our scene manager, and we know scene 0 is our prototype level. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this. We don't need this to be start, so we can call this restart game. So, and we're also going to make this public, so it's its own custom method. And then here what we can say is that it can change. We can also delete that because it's not actually starts, and we can delete that because it's not actually update, and we're going to change this to quit game. So public void, we can call this quit game. Lovely. So and then for quit game, what we do is type in application dot quit. Oh, not with a W. Quit. And parentheses. There we go. Lovely. So let's save that scene. And now we've done this, we can actually go into our buttons. So if we click restart game button, and we can see on click. So what happens when we click? At the moment, nothing. So what we're going to do is click a plus, and it's going to ask for a game object. Well, we know we want our game scene, so we're going to grab our game scene. Oh, it's not. What's going on today? Unity's having a funny 5 minutes. Game scene's gone into there. Under no function, we are going to click game scene, and then we're going to go to restart game. Lovely, fantastic. We're then going to click on, do the exact same thing with our quit game button. On there, again, the plus, objects, game scene, function, and you guessed it this time, quit game. Lovely. So the quick game function won't work within, obviously within a Unity engine, but that's okay, that doesn't matter. But we can test the restart. So if we go to press play, we might be able to exit. There we go, and then restart. There we go. Just clipped it back in. Fantastic. So that's all working nice and lovely. Cool. So what we need to do is now get this working, get this UI only popping up once we have been killed and we've lost all our hit points for our player. So what we need to do is, if we go into our player health script, hopefully Unity is still playing ball and not jumping up and down. Lovely. So what have we got here? What we need to do is, first of all, we need to talk about our canvas. We want that to pop up, to be enabled and disabled. So if we say private canvas, that should pop up. And what we're going to say is, let's call this game over canvas, because that's exactly what it is. Lovely. And we're just going to serialize that field so we can reference this within our inspector. So let's quickly save that. Click back into Unity. Lovely. So if we click on a player, we can see game over scene, game over canvas, there it is, game over. There we go, game over canvas, and I'm going to drag that into there. Fantastic. Cool. So when we start the game, we don't want this canvas to appear. So if we pop back into our script, we can then say within our script, game over canvas dot enabled equals false. Lovely. Fantastic. So after that, what we need to do is we need to create a brand new method. And we're going to call this public void def handler, because it's going to handle the def of our of the script, essentially, of our player, and then so the scene will pop up. Cool. So what we need to do is, firstly, as soon as we get into the def handler, so as soon as you've died, our game over canvas will become dot enabled will equal true. We then need to get our cursors up, so we need to say cursor dot lock state, because it's in the lock state, equals cursor lock mode dot none. So we essentially our cursor can move around our scene. And one more thing we need to make sure is that our cursor is visible within our scene. So we need to say cursor dot visible equals true. Lovely. So that should handle everything with our cursor appearing once our game over canvas has appeared, so we can click the restart button to restart our game. So let's quickly save that. And what we need to do is we need to talk to our take damage. So what we need to say here, instead of what we can say debug player is .dead, that will prove as a nice debug to make sure that this is working. What we can write in there is simply, we just need to call up that method. So def handler brackets semicolon. Lovely. And save. Okay, so let's test this out. Lovely, fantastic. So if we press play and the game disappears, lovely. So we know that that's working. So let's go, actually, well, we'll be able to tell if you've got an error or not, because the menu won't pop up. So let's get our to attacking. There we go. Oh, there we go. So it's saying game over. Would we like to? Oh, my cursor hasn't popped up. But if we press escape, go to restart. There we go. We've restarted our game. Fantastic. Cool. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I don't know what we'll do next. We'll have a look and see what we need to do next to work on our FPS game. Cool. I will see